Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to episode 29 of Knits and Pieces. We are a knitting podcast coming to you from Southwestern Ontario. My name is Noelle and I live in Sarnia, Ontario, and this is my friend Kelly.
Hi, and I live in Courtwright, which is about 20 minutes south of Sarnia.
Yeah, she gets nicer, warmer weather than we do.
We are not having warm weather today.
No, neither are we. It was funny because Ross was leaving for work and I'm like, honey, it's sweater weather.
I know, it's sweater weather. Welcome to Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
We had a heat wave on the weekend and now we're back into pulling out all the woolly things, or at least the cotton things, right?
Yeah. At least you're not thinking like, where's the coolest t-shirt I have in the house to put on?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Anyway, but it's been 4 weeks, I think, since we podcast. And it's funny because last time I was talking to you, I think it was when we were knitting under the bridge for Knit in Public Day. And I'm like, Kelly, we have to podcast next week. And you go, no, remember, we're only doing it every 4 weeks. I'm like, it will be 4 weeks.
4 weeks. I don't know where the time goes.
I know. Like even in a pandemic, like when you think back, can you believe we've been in this for almost a year and a half? Like, I know in some aspects it seems really long, but in other aspects, time just goes like so fast.
Yes. But, we're moving out of it. We hope.
We hope.
Things are opening back up, at least in Ontario for us. I think we've been one of the provinces definitely in the longest lockdown. So it's great to be moving forward and see that glimmer at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. Just maybe a couple more weeks till hair salons open back up. Although I think I'm going to keep the long hair.
Well, I'm definitely keeping the long hair. I don't know about the gray hair, if I'm going to keep that, but I might. I don't know. I mean, I've had it. You can't see any gray hair, Kelly. I think it's just clever lighting because I'm telling you, it's there. And I've had it now for, it's been a year and a half since I've had a hair appointment.
Yeah.
So there's been lots of bathroom sink trimming just to, when it gets too long or one piece gets unruly, but it is what it is.
Trimmed the bangs for a year and a half now and done the root touch up, but like for the rest of it, it's not too bad. It kind of all blends in. So
no, yours looks great.
We'll see. It's nice to have it this long to be able to tie it up if it's hot, but I do find this is the longest I've had it. And I can't believe on a hot day how hot your hair is on the back of your neck.
On a hot day, my hair would never be on the back of my neck. It would be piled high.
I know, but you're used to that. I'm not.
Yeah.
And then I think, I should just tie it up. But anyway, we're not a hair podcast. It's a knitting podcast.
No, we're a mostly knitting podcast, but we do other things as well.
We do other things.
Little side hairdressing, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a new gig. I can assure you that.
No.
So
we should move into our admin.
Okay, let's do that.
So we've got a couple of cals that have kind of finished up. So the first one we'll talk about is our Rising Stars make along, and that was a cal or mal in which you created something using a pattern that had 30 or fewer items in Ravelry.
Yes.
So there was I think altogether there was 66 entries. So we found some new patterns and things that we'd really like to knit, and a lot of times even some of these newer patterns, they're just as nice as some of the established designers. It's just they kind of haven't gotten their moment in the spotlight.
That's right.
So
absolutely. There are some solid patterns. I didn't get mine finished. The sweater that I chose to work on was a heavier weight sweater. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just honestly say I kind of lost the mojo on that once the weather turned. But it's well on its way. It's more than halfway finished.
Yes.
So I know that I'll pick it up again and then I will be right in there for a fall sweater. Mm-hmm. Although,
and I did
today,
Well, that's right. You could have worn it. Well, it's maybe not quite that cool.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
No. And I had done a pair of socks by Olivia from This Handmade Life, and it had fewer than 30. And she has amazing, amazing patterns. I can't believe that there's not more people that do them. And they're actually like really reasonably priced. Like a lot of her patterns are like $3 US.
That's fantastic.
Like, I mean, that's pretty reasonable for, so.
It's very reasonable for the amount of work that goes into,
that's right.
You know, conjuring up the pattern in the first place, getting it tech edited, getting it test knit, printing it off onto it, or creating it in a format that's easy for us to follow, and then listing it. It's a lot of hours, I'm sure, that goes into that, and we just reap the benefit. So
yeah. So anyway, so Kelly's got a name of our winner.
Yes.
And the prize. So she'll tell you about that.
Okay, so first I'll tell you about the prize. We have 2 gorgeous skeins.
Wow.
So generously donated by Ginger Snap. And it is their Tweety DK.
That's so pretty.
It is absolutely beautiful. I'm telling you, I did not want to give it up, but I have to give it up. And it is, this color is called Winter Skies, and this color is Midnight. And, you know, purple, anything purple is my thing. And I absolutely love these yarns. They're so beautiful. So thank you so much, Kim and Colin, for supporting our podcast and donating prizes. And I will let you know that the winner is Anna, and it was randomly generated number 58. And I will insert the slide here with all of Anna's details.
Yay. Congratulations, Anna. And thanks to everybody that participated. And, you know, like, don't hesitate to go in there and look for some new designers, right? You'll find things that are amazing. Like, just because they don't hit your top page in Ravelry doesn't mean that there are not some awesome patterns out there.
That's right.
So, okay, so our next knit along is our sock knit along that's going on all year long. And we draw on a monthly basis. And when we draw, we go right back to the beginning. So we go right back to the first socks that were entered, draw up to the end of that month. So the more pairs you get in there, the more chances that you have, because even pairs entered way back in January are still eligible for prizes. So in this case, we've got 2 prizes for the month of May. And the first prize is a pattern prize that's donated by Natalie of Remembrances Pottery. And Natalie does absolutely beautiful colorwork sock patterns. Like, they're gorgeous. Like, I've done them, I've gifted them, I've kept them. I love knitting them. So that would be the first prize. And thank you, Natalie, for that. And then the second prize is a set from Leo and Roxy Basics. So I think you've got that there to show.
I do.
Yes. And I believe that's the Raspberry Ripple. Is that classic gray? And
of course, classic
green.
Gray and
garden green.
Try to get them all up here.
Yeah. And I've done socks in that color combo, and it looks amazing. And thank you to Jolene and Carrie of Leo and Roxy for donating that to us to give away as prizes.
This yarn is so soft.
I know.
So soft. And this classic gray is becoming mine and Noelle's new staple that goes, well, it goes into everything.
I can't, like, honestly, I'm doing another sock today, and I'm not doing apricot heels, but I looked at it and I thought, classic gray.
Classic gray.
Here.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It goes with everything. I don't understand it.
Okay,
it's the new black. Classic gray is the new black.
It's the new black. The new pink. Black. It's the new pink.
Maybe. Yes. Okay. So the random number generator has picked 2 numbers. We had, for the end of May, we had 572 sock entries in there so far this year. That's amazing. You guys are knitting up a storm. And the first random number for Natalie's pattern is number 408, and that is Peggy. Slide here. And our second winner, random number generator, chose 388, which is M. Joe. And I'll put that slide in here. And you'll be getting some yarn. So if you could, both of you, just reach out to us with your pertinent details. You can send us a message on Ravelry to either one of us or a DM on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And we'll get that, and then we will get your prizes out to you right away. Thank you so much for entering.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome to see all the socks. Because, I mean, both you and I think, have socks on the go pretty much all the time. Like, I feel like something's wrong in my life if there's not a sock.
Okay. I'll tell you what I feel like. I get this weird little feeling. So my daughter's dog, Shasta, when somebody comes to the house, Shasta's main goal in life is that she must bring you something. So if you're at home with Shasta when somebody comes to the door, it's hilarious to watch her because she jumps up and she starts racing around the room looking for an item. And if she can't find something, she will head upstairs. She's been known to go into laundry baskets. You might get a sock. You might get a pair of underwear. You might get a toy. You might get a shoe. But you will get something when you come through the door. And it's just that mad panic that she gets when she hears the door. That's how I feel when there are no socks on the needles. I'm like, oh my gosh, where are the socks? I have to get a sock going. Like, I can't be without a sock. What if I have to go in the car? What if I don't have something knit? It's crazy.
But now I also feel like that with my spinning. Like, if I finish something and the thing and the spinning wheel is sitting there and there's nothing on it.
It can't sit empty.
No, it can't. It can't, because what would I do while I'm waiting for the coffee to brew? It's not enough time to go and sit down and get my knitting, but I can spin a little bit.
I know. And what
there was nothing on it yesterday because I had just finished up a skein and something is on it now. It started.
Good. So, can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So right at the moment, we still have the sock cal going on because it's going to go on for the whole year. So keep knitting your socks and putting them in there. Yes. And we also have our Shift Happens cal going. And it's amazing to see the things that are in there. Like, all the color combos and the patterns. I could knit everything Shifty.
I could too. I want to. And, it's exciting. And it doesn't matter how many people are making the same pattern. Everything looks exactly different.
I know.
I love it. I just love it.
And we're loving seeing everything that everybody's putting in there. And I wasn't going to start mine, but you'll see when we get into whips that I couldn't wait. I had to start.
Couldn't hold off.
Even though those sweaters that I had last month with no sleeves still have no sleeves.
Oh, that's okay. They can hang out there for a while.
Well, they're going to have to. Okay. So the Shifty Cal the Shift Happens Cal runs from, it started at the beginning of June, and we're running it to the end of August. So you've still got lots of time. Do as many Shifty projects as you want. And actually, I'm going to have to start the FO thread, because I see on
I noticed that
people have finished. Yeah. So I'm going to have to get the FO thread going in there. So.
And we're going to have some great prizes for that too. We've had some prizes donated already, and we've got some things coming. Mm-hmm. We actually have a few things from Andrea Mowry herself, the designer of the Shifty patterns. So get busy, get knitting. Yep. And I know in our Tuesday night knit chat group, that's kind of been like the front and center for the last couple of weeks. All of the Shifty things, everybody's talking about what's on their needles, and we're having so much fun with that. And with the knit chat group, that's we started that as an informal in between the podcasts, and it's a weekly happening. We used to just do it. Remember when we only did it on the weeks when we weren't podcasting, and now it's a given. It's every week, and we do that on Tuesday nights. So if you are new to this podcast, so this is our sort of formal monthly podcast where we're going to talk about what we've actually finished and what we're working on, and some things that we acquire along the way. But then every Tuesday night at 7:00 Eastern Daylight Time, we have a knit chat, and it's informal. Think of it as your virtual coffee shop knit group. And we are having fun in there. Let me tell you, there's quite a number of people, and we have regulars that keep coming back. And it's just great to hear what everybody is up to. And this is an opportunity that we wouldn't have had aside from the internet. And we've met so many people in there, and we're having just the best time. And it's people that from everywhere, all around the world. So we wouldn't have had that opportunity to meet you in person, but we feel as if we know you now.
I know. And it's so nice to see that within the group, people are interacting with each other.
Yes.
Like not just with us, but with each other. So that's so nice to see. And just, it's fun.
It
just
is fun.
Going for a coffee and a knit with your knitting buddies.
And it's such a positive group.
Yes.
I should say that too. I mean, my goodness, the encouragement that I see in there on a weekly basis, you know, somebody will say, well, I'm struggling with this. And then everybody just jumps in. They've got some ideas. They've got some suggestions. And then there's like that positive reinforcement. You've got this, you can do it. And you know what? Sometimes as knitters, we just need that. Some things are a little overwhelming, or a pattern might be overwhelming. But when you've got the support of a friend sitting beside you going, oh, you've got this, it just makes it more encouraging to try that pattern. Yep. So I'm really happy to see the way the group is growing, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess we should move on to what we're wearing.
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Okay. Well, first we'll talk about Beatrice.
Okay.
Beatrice is back in the studio. She's been back for, I think, a couple of podcasts now. She was on a little hiatus. I don't know why, but she's back. And today she's styling a denim jacket with her lightweight hipster shawl. I love the shawl. I love knitting the shawl. I love wearing the shawl. It goes with everything. So the lightweight hipster is by Joji Locatelli, and it is a fantastic way to use up one skein. And it can be, a really variegated yarn would work, or a neutral yarn would work. It's very similar to her original hipster shawl, and it still has its signature fringe and the crossovers, which are time consuming to do, but very fun. And it's a new stitch. So it's a new skill usually for everybody who tries it. And this particular one I knit in Barnyard Knits, and I believe it is called Winter Wonderland. And I got it when we were in New York at VKL. And I love the shawl. So since it is just one skein of fingering weight, it's lightweight and fun to wear when you just need a little something to throw on around your shoulders or just around your neck a little bit. It's very light.
I know any of those one skein shawls that have like that drop stitch in it, like the crossover one or just an elongated drop stitch, really shows off the yarn nicely.
Mm-hmm. So, it does. Yeah.
And it gives you more length, or a bigger shawl, rather than one that's just straight knitting all the time. So it's a good way to kind of stretch that one skein into something that looks more substantial than one skein.
Mm-hmm. And it's a generously sized shawl. I mean, Beatrice has a bit of a thick neck, and she wears it just fine. And me, I am wearing my Deshane. Is that a Deshane sweater or a Deshane tee? Or is it just the Deshane? It's the Deshane. It'll be below. And I bought this yarn at Kitchener at
the Knitter's Frolic.
Knitter's Frolic. Yeah. And it was a kit that I bought. And it's Godifera arborea. So it's 100% cotton, and it's a chainette yarn. So the pattern is by Layla Raven, and I love the sweater. It's pretty cropped. I did do an extra pattern repeat because while I was able to get stitch gauge, I was not able to get row gauge. So I was falling a little short with this yarn, but the fabric is good. I really like the fabric. So I was okay to stay there, but I just knew that I was going to have to do a little bit more. And then since I bought the yarn in a kit and I waited quite a while to cast on, the problem which is painfully apparent in the screen is that I didn't have enough yarn. I needed an extra skein of yarn. So I went on a mad search to find a matching lot number and was unsuccessful. So I was hopeful that it would be a closer match, but I think we can all see that it's not very close at all. So I used helical method for the sleeves, and it actually has a bit of that on the back as well. But because it's such a drop shoulder on the sleeve, this is actually the line at the back where the patterning starts too. So I'm calling that a design element, and I'm rolling with it. But I I really like the sweater. It's fairly heavy for a cotton, but it goes great over just like that basic little summer dress. And today I have it just over like a little romper, actually. So it's like a wide leg pants, a pantsuit. I really like it. It's comfortable. It's easy to throw on. The color goes.
I want to make one of those.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, this was really fun. And you know what? Some other people have changed it up a little bit too. So the back of the sweater, I'll put some pictures in, but the back of the sweater is plain, just plain stockinette. But I know that some people have switched it up and they've actually put this pattern in the back as well. I think Julia did that. And that way there's no right or wrong.
Well, what does it look? Can you wear it like that too? Like put the lace at the back and wear it with the plain part at the front?
Yeah, I guess you could. There'd be no reason.
Yeah, then your back would come down a little, right? Because doesn't the front has a
the back. Okay, so the front has this little has a little divot because of the fan pattern.
Right,
the back doesn't have that. It's just straight. So if you flipped it around, it would be a little shorter at the back, and then you'd have this little bit in the front. Sorry, and you'd have this little bit at the back, and that would be fun too.
Yeah,
if you wanted to wear, like for instance, a necklace or something with it, it would be nice to wear the plain side. Or if you wanted to, like throw a shawl on with it or something, right? So that's a good idea. That's actually a really good idea. And but I like it. I like it a lot. I've worn it quite a few times already since I finished it, and it's pretty quick to knit. It took me a long time because once I honestly ran into
around with matching the yarns. Yeah.
Kind of lost interest. I'm not going to lie. I lost some interest in it, but as far as the yarn itself goes, I'm really happy with it. And had I had the opportunity to have an additional skein, I'm sure I would have had it finished in no time flat because it does go very quickly. Yeah. And there's not much sweater to it. I mean, and I made the size medium. It's very roomy. But it's meant to be. I think the pattern calls for about 10 inches of ease. So, but anyway, that's my Deshane. And what are you wearing?
Very nice. I am wearing the Lexa, and it's by Hannah Masiuska. I'm not sure if that's pronounced right, but we'll put it across the screen. But it's Hada Knits on Ravelry, and I'll just kind of stand up here. So it's just plain tee. You can see it has a little bit of detail around the hem, but then it's got this really nice detail across the yoke.
I really like that.
So this is done in Diamond Luxury Collection Pimo Lino lace. So it's a lace weight yarn, but I held it double to get a fingering weight. And the yarn is 60% cotton, 40% linen. So it feels really nice. So, and I've got some more of this. I just, have to get it knit up, but the color was just called blue.
It's such a pretty color though. It's a peacock blue.
Yeah.
It's really, and it's really pretty on you.
I really like it.
How much non-pink you're wearing lately.
I know. I mean, I have a lot of sweaters that are not pink. I mean, a lot with the pink is I'm just actually drawn to that color. It's not necessarily that's always what I want to wear. I'm just really drawn to when I see something with pinks in it. So, but anyways, I do really like this. Comfortable to wear. This was a little bit tricky, and like I don't think I memorized it. I just had it in Knit Companion and just followed but just a nice little detail at the top of the sweater. And then once you're done that, you're pretty much just straight stocking stitch till you get down to the bottom. It does have, if you can see down the side, there's like a little bit of a cable thing that goes down each side.
Oh, that's so
just
pretty.
A little bit of detail.
Nice
down
little
the side.
Detail.
Yeah. A fun pattern to knit. I do it again, just a nice lightweight kind of tee for summertime. So
very nice. I like it.
Okay, thanks. So we should move on to FOs.
FOs.
Okay, so I have a couple of FOs. My first one, I don't know whether I'd started it on the last. I don't think I had started them on the last podcast. Actually, a lot of the things that I have done are not things that were started last time. They were complete new cast-ons because I didn't work on some of the previous projects. But they are a pair of socks. They were for my son's birthday, and his birthday was at the end of May. So it was just a pair that I kind of put together with things that I knew that he would like. So I've already given them to him. So Kelly will put a picture in here, but I'm calling them my Celtic Shamrock socks. So they were knit top down, 2x2 rib. And then I did a border just at the top of the sock that had shamrocks all around it. And then after that, I did not a cable, a braid down the side of each sock, so that when you wear them, the braid would be down the opposite side of each leg. So, and it's a braid in the fact that it actually looks like a braid as opposed to a cable that's just the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like a cable is just switching the same stitches down, whereas the braid, you're kind of alternating them to make it look like an actual braid.
Yep.
I did them in Leo and Roxy fingering basics in garden green and classic gray. So they turned out, he really liked them. They turned out nice. They had a, what kind of a heel did I do? I think it was a cut in heel. Let me just see here. I don't have them with me, so I can't tell by looking at it. But anyway, it was like a contrast color heel. So the heel was in the classic gray, the toe was in the classic gray, and then the body of the sock was in the garden green. So yeah, very happy with them. The classic, they're the Leo and Roxy basics fingering, feels really nice to work with.
Like so soft.
Nice in your hands.
So soft.
So those are done and gifted. FO, I also don't have with me. It was a sample sweater for Little Red Mitten. It was a baby sweater, and it is called Colette, and it is a pattern by Kate Gagnon Osborne. And it was also done in the Leo and Roxy basics fingering. And this time the two colors were the Raspberry Ripple, which was one of their original colors. And they've since got in some new colors. And the one color that I used in this is called Pencil Point, which is kind of like a heathered medium gray. Actually, really pretty color. It might go with a lot of things too.
It's like an amped up version of classic gray.
Classic gray, yeah. So the sweater is an all over color work. The bottom has a little row of hearts around the bottom hem. And then it's got the lice stitch throughout it. And then it's striped up at the top. So this sweater was fun because I did a lot of new techniques in it, because it started at the bottom with a whole garter band, like the bottom band, instead of being rib, is all garter. Well, when you do garter in the round, if you don't do something, you get that kind of faux seam.
Yes.
When you come around and start your next round. So I looked up how to kind of avoid that. And you avoid it by doing helical knitting, just the same way that you would do if you were alternating two skeins of hand-dyed yarn. So you kind of go around, you stop 3 stitches, slip 3, continue on, stop 3 stitches before the next one, and go around. The only difference being that one row you're going to be knitting and one row you're going to be purling, because that's how you're going to get your garter stitch in the round. But it really did look nice, because I don't mind that seam if it's like kind of here,
right,
in a cuff.
If it's intentional,
but I don't like
somewhere.
it. I don't like it in the body of a sweater, because it's just, you're only going to have it on one side, right? If you're knitting in the ground, you're not going to have that seam on the other side. So I did that. So that was good. Now, of course, that means now you're purling in the round. Well, I thought, okay, well, let's see if we can do something with this. And I think I was doing continental for the knit. So for the purl, I did some Portuguese purling. And it's so easy. I couldn't believe it. It was so easy and so much fun. I just looked up a tutorial online. I can't remember whose tutorial I used, but there's lots of tutorials online. But I looked up a tutorial. It's like wrapped around your neck, and it's like, you're just like flicking the yarn on with one finger. Like, it just was, I couldn't believe it. And then I did some research, and actually I found some info that said a lot of people that do use Portuguese purling, if they are knitting stockinette in the round, they actually do it as purl stitches, because it's so much easier to purl than to knit, and so much faster. So that was fun. And then the top of the sweater was all striped, and it was just single row striped. And I didn't want that jog,
right? Like
every time you switch to a different color. So again, you do it the same way with the helical knitting, and it kind of, it messes with your mind a little bit, because you think, well, but if I stop, then it's going to look like, like then I start with this color, but it doesn't. You just need to follow the directions for helical knitting, and it will work out. And then when you get to your very last one, all you're going to do is slip all the stitches around to where that final yarn is.
Okay, right.
And then pick it up and knit to the beginning of the round. And it works out really well. And I actually did that because Tracy was doing some socks. I don't know if you saw them on Instagram, and they were the 1 row stripe.
Yes.
And I can't remember who the pattern was by, and I do believe it was a free pattern. So if I can find it, I'll link it in the the show notes, and it basically showed you how to do it. So if you were doing it in a sock, like for your one stripe socks, then basically you're not cutting and joining your yarn. You just do this helical method and your stripes will look fine. And you're only going to ever have to sew in your beginning with your 2 yarns and your ending with your 2 yarns.
That's right. Right. Yeah. And so the idea for helical is that instead of like a circle going around and then moving up a row and a circle with helical, think about a spring that just winds up like this, so that your rows always are going to be together, but you're never going to have that jog, right? It's a clever method. I use it. Well, I used it here. So this is why you have that micro striping of the sweater sleeves, because I did the slipping 3 stitches and moving forward. So there's a lot of uses for it. I know most of the tutorials that I've checked out are referencing it for a sock, like a small diameter, but I know I use it a lot when I'm knitting sweaters. If it's like an indie dyed yarn, sometimes even just from the beginning of a skein to the end of the skein, there could be some differences. So if you just want to make sure that everything is consistent, it's an easier way to mask any differences from skein to skein.
Yeah. And when I was doing that little sweater, so when you get up to here, you're doing raglan decreases because the sweater was knit bottom up, then you joined it, then you did the yoke. So, but it wasn't a round yoke, it was raglan decreases. So when you're doing the stripes, even though you're doing the 2 colors, just because it says 3 stitches, you don't have to do 3 stitches.
No.
So you can kind of adjust it. So if there's something different that you have to do, you can adjust it so your color switch is not in the middle of one of those.
Right, exactly.
One of those differences. So yeah. So
it's such a cute little sweater.
It sounds more complicated to do the helical knitting than it really is. When you get into doing it, it's so easy.
It's one of those things I found that a lot of people will talk about it and you think, oh, it sounds complicated, or to read the instructions sounds complicated. And then when you actually do it, you're like, oh,
I know.
Mind blown.
Well, that's like the Portuguese purling. Like I thought, it's going to be so complicated. It's so easy. We
get so hung up on titles thinking something is going to be difficult that we don't want to try it. And then when you try it, you're like, oh, why didn't I do this years before?
Why didn't I do that? Well, it's funny because Jacqueline, and people will remember Jacqueline being on the podcast before, and she was so intimidated by cables, right?
Yes.
So the first time she did one, she goes, that's it? That's all you do? That's just... So you're right. A lot of times we just get it set in our mind that something's going to be difficult. And instead of just reading through, sometimes I don't necessarily read something all the way through because I would just forget by the time I would go back to do it.
Right.
Like I find it's just easier, take the instructions, read them. And if you need a tutorial, like YouTube is a fantastic resource. You can usually find something that's going to help you out there.
Right.
So,
excellent.
Okay, so that's 2 that I don't have. So now I'll show you one that I do have. And this one is actually not quite all the way finished, but I'm not showing it next time. So it's finished.
Okay.
So this is a little sweater.
Oh, I love the little flower brooch.
There's the little, you can see it there.
It's so pretty.
So this is just a little sweater. It's called French Macaron. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's by the Noble Thread. And this is in Cottonlicious yarn. So that's like a lime green color and then this kind of pale blue. And it's got a little button at the back of the neck. So it is split a little bit at the back of the neck. So you just basically knit your 2 pieces. The shoulders are bound off together. So it's just a 3 needle bind off on the shoulders. Then you just sew up your side seams. I've got 1 sleeve seam done. And then all I've got left to do is just that 1 sleeve seam. And it's 100% cotton. So it's a cute little, like it would be a perfect sweater for today.
Right.
So yeah. And I had the yarn and I just thought the colors were so cute and I didn't want to make more dishcloths with it. So I thought I'm just going to make a little girl sweater out of it. So now this wasn't in the pattern, but this is just a little crocheted flower. And that I had that little iridescent button that I just matched it perfectly, put in the middle of it and just gives it a little something up in the top part of the sweater.
Oh, she's going to love it.
It's Kelly, this yarn, it seriously, honestly, it just feels amazing. So yeah. So
good for dishcloths or garments.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this this one has it's not the same twist as like Dishy or some of the sugar and cream stuff. It's more, it's like you can kind of see the cotton, and then it's just got like a tiny core wrapped around it to keep it together.
So it's probably similar to the Drops Bell, because that's a really low twist too.
Yes. Yeah. So that means it's a lot softer. Yep.
So, and easier to knit, I find, because, you know, sometimes that
the other is hard.
Cotton, it's harder on your hands to knit. Like, I like the idea sometimes of dishcloths, but I don't like the process of dishcloths for certain cottons. They're just, it's too much.
Yeah. So this sweater is actually written for a DK weight yarn. This is not a DK weight yarn. This is an Aran weight yarn, which I did at a looser gauge. So I just adjusted. I just knew I had knit another sweater in this, so I knew what my gauge was. So I just went by the gauge. I went to the pattern. The pattern went up to a size 4. So I just took the measurements of the size 4 and worked it out with my gauge to get. So basically, I think I knit the 0 to 3 month size, which turns out to be a size 4 because of the difference in gauge.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't make the sleeves quite as long, because for a summer sweater, I didn't want them coming down to here. I just wanted them up here.
Right.
So I just figured out, again, gauge wise, how many to cast on. And I think actually it'll fit her perfectly. So I'm happy with that. Cute. And I've got some other colors downstairs. I might knit some up for the other girls, because it's a super fast knit.
So sweet.
Yeah. Okay. So how about you?
Well, finally. Oh my goodness. The Shirley Bryan
colors are amazing.
I know. And they're totally me. The Shirley Bryan Deconstructed Fade Sock. I know it has taken me forever. And this colorway is no dice, not today, no way. And this is yarn that you gifted me for Christmas. So I guess I did make it in under the 6-month mark. But
there you go.
I put them on the needles, and I just thought, you know, they'll just be like car knitting, and we went nowhere. So the car knitting idea didn't work so well. But anyway, they're long. They're like, okay, they're long. That's a lot of sock.
Okay. It's a lot of sock.
And so basically the way this yarn comes, it's 2 50-gram skeins. And in order to reap the full benefit, you've got to go toe to cuff. And I only have just a teeny tiny smidge of yarn left. So I put a little braid, or a faux, it's not a cable, it's a little shell stitch. So I have that on like both sides of the foot. And I did toe up, because I felt that was going to be the best way for me to go all the way through the yarn. And I used a heel flap and gusset from a toe up position. And this particular method I borrowed from a pattern called Melisandre that's available as a free download on Ravelry. I made that sock pattern, and honestly, the way this heel flap and gusset comes together from a toe up, it's like sorcery, honestly. That's why, you know, Melisandre was the sorceress from Game of Thrones. So it's very fitting. And I really like doing that. So I was able to just go back to that pair of socks and measure exactly where I knew that I needed to start cutting in for the gusset and then going up. But I love everything about this yarn. I love how soft they are. The fit. So since it was such a long sock, I thought I should put a little bit of shaping in. So I think I started doing some shaping at about this point. And I just, every 5 or 6 of these little shells, I added 2 more stitches. So I went from a 64 stitch sock all the way up to 72 stitches at the top. And then I did a 2x2 rib and a tubular bind off, so that I could get maximum stretch at the top. I probably will not wear them as like a full sock that way. I'm sure that I'll mostly just kind of do that with them underneath my pants, or they would look cute even with like a pair of leggings or something if you wanted them to show and get that slouchy effect. But I can't say enough how much I love the yarn and how soft they are, and how you picked colors that were perfect for me.
Yeah, I love those colors.
Yeah, they're really pretty. Really, really pretty. So that's my first one. You can go again.
Okay. My next one is a pair of socks.
I love those too.
So these are the Midsummer Blossoms, and this is by Olivia of This Handmade Life. Again, her sock patterns I love. So this is done in, the pink yarn is Regia Baby Smile. So it's my first Regia. So this is just in the pink. I had one 25-gram skein because they just come in little tiny 25-gram skeins. And the toe originally was supposed to be done in the pink as well, but I knew I wasn't going to have enough. So I just had enough in the white to do the toe. So that way I used up all of my pink. So the white is Woolen Boon Classic, and the colorway is Sweet Nothing. So again, I think there's 23 grams of the white, 25 grams of the pink. And it's like an ankle sock, but it does go like a little way up.
It does go up, yeah.
On your ankle. So it's got a pretty lace pattern in here, and then the stripes. So for these stripes, because they're more than one row, I actually did a jogless join that I like using, and it's by Helene Magnuson. And it's where you kind of like at the end of a row, you re-knit the last stitch in the new color.
Okay.
And then you go around and then you pick up kind of like the underneath stitch and wrap those two and knit those two stitches together. So I like how that works out for like when you've got a stripe that's a bit more stitches. So the cuff is 1x1 twisted rib. I did a tubular cast on, heel flap and gusset, and then just a rounded toe. Yeah, I'm really happy with them. So, and it was a nice fast knit because they're just short socks, and
it's fun to have those nice little short socks for summer, right?
Yeah, and I got my pink sticks in.
Work up quickly, so yep. I like them.
Okay.
I have a second pair of socks. I didn't get a lot finished this month, but I did get my 2 pairs of socks finished. So my second pair is called Little Boxes.
Those are nice.
By Summer Lee. And I used 3 colors in here. So this variegated is called Demon Hunter by Black Cat Custom Yarn. That's a dyer in BC. And this was leftovers. I think there were only 23 grams of that as well. It was leftovers from some socks that I made for my daughter. And I always love the color. And then I added to that, this is Knit Pick Stroll in Pea Pod, which I thought really, there are like little flecks of green that pop. And then the gray is, of course, Classic Gray by Leo and Roxy. And I literally think there might be, I have it on my Ravelry page. I should have written it down, but I think there's like maybe 13 grams in there. So it's a fun project when you've got just like some small scraps left in your bag. And it was toe up as well, wasn't it? No, it was not toe up. I'm telling an utter lie there. It was not toe up because I closed it off using the Finchley graph.
Okay.
So there's just a few rows of ribbing, and then I did an afterthought heel. Now, I didn't follow her pattern 100%. I basically just took her pattern to make the little boxes.
Right.
So I'm not certain if that's exactly how she would have finished everything off. I was running a little bit short too. So I had to do 5 straight rows of the pea pod. So the toe is a little longer than I would normally make it, but I really like them. And it was such a fun little pattern, like for something so simple, but
yeah, it looks good.
It really, nice. They're fun.
It's nice that checkerboard kind of breaks up the variegated yarn too. So if you've got a variegated yarn that's really busy and you don't necessarily like it might pool or whatever, it doesn't matter in that because you're breaking it all up with the stripes.
No. And there's like with quite a few, there's quite a few patterns or projects of this on Ravelry already. And every pair I look at, I'm like, oh, that was a great idea to use that or that, because you can do a lot with it. You can really do a lot with it. So
anyway, and I mean, you could expand it too. You could do a full pair of socks.
You could easily
do doesn't have to be just the ankle socks. And I think that's something people need to remember when you look at a sock pattern. Like your kind of your basic thing is what is the design that they put on that sock. But you can put in whatever heel you want. You can put in whatever toe you want. So you can adjust it to fit your own own style. You can
make every pattern what you like to make of it, right?
Yeah.
But I would make this again because, like I said, it was so fun. And I just think it's a great way to use up some small bits.
Yeah.
And I love the colors. I really love the colors.
Yeah.
That's right.
So my last FO is my red ranunculus. So when I was talking to Rachel, because this yarn is the Cottonlicious again, which is the yarn that I did the Molly's little sweater in, she said I should call it ranunculicious. And then I thought, because it's red, I should call it rednunculicious.
And say that 5 times fast.
Rednunculicious. No, I can't. Anyway, so this is the ranunculus by Midori Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And this is done, like I said, in the Cottonlicious, which is an Aran weight yarn. Now, the actual pattern calls for like a mohair or a lace weight that you knit at a really, really loose gauge.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not super loose, but it's still like a nice weight. This is 100% cotton. So modifications that I made. This is my 4th ranunculus. So one thing that I don't really like is when the rib at the neck is done like not on a whole lot of stitches. So then it really stretches out. So when I started this one, I just cast on more stitches for my neck. And then when I did my first increase, then just adjusted it to get to the right amount of stitches.
Mm-hmm.
So my neck actually has more stitches, but then I did it on a smaller needle than what it calls for in the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
The gauge, and obviously this one is not as wide and boxy as hers is.
Right.
So what I did is when I got to the end of the yoke, it was already long enough for me. I didn't need to do there's some raglan increases in it too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to do that. So I just kind of figured out what I wanted around the body
mm-hmm.
and divided it up between the sleeves and the body. And it actually turns out it fits perfectly. So I'm really happy with it. But that's the nice thing when it's top down, I could try it on, right? So if it wasn't fitting the way I wanted, I could have
absolutely
went back.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and now
really
you're
happy with it.
And now you're Canada Day ready.
I'm Canada Day ready, and I can honestly say this is the first red sweater I've ever knit for me. I think I've knit like red baby Christmas sweaters,
right?
But this is the first red sweater that I've knit for me, and I actually really like it. Like, I mean, I still like pink, but you know. Again, I didn't want to do a whole bunch of dishcloths, and this yarn actually feels really nice in a sweater.
So, what company makes Cottonlicious?
It's Sweater Kits.
I've never heard of this.
Sweater Kits. This is actually all of this yarn. The little baby sweater, is yarn that Eileen, who is Lisa from Codependent Knitters, her mom, she was kind of going through her yarn stash and giving away stuff. So, you know, she thought this would be nice for some baby stuff or whatever. And it's worked out perfectly. So yeah,
because I will honestly say that's a brand I've just never heard of.
I'm not sure if it's Canadian or not, but it's called Sweater Kits, and I think they did other kits too, like in a wool. But do you remember? Did you ever work with Mission Hills 1824?
No.
Okay, it was a yarn brand that they sold at Camilla Valley Farm, and they also had an 1824 cotton, and it feels very, very much like this. So anyway, no, I had not heard of it before either, but I actually really like it. I don't think it's discontinued or anything. I think they still make it. So
it's just an interesting name. It's
Cottonlicious.
Not Cottonlicious.
Ranunculicious.
It sounds like, I don't know, like an ice cream or.
Yeah, it does. Well, and especially right in these colors, then it looks like an ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's actually really nice yarn, and it feels nice on. It, like you said, it feels nicer to knit with than just a straight high twist cotton.
Mm-hmm. Softer.
So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I've got some really, really pretty other pastel colors that I've got a couple of balls of different ones that I think I will use up. I might as well use up and make the girls little matching. They can all have matching ones.
Okay.
So, okay, that's it for FOs for me.
And me.
Okay, so we should move on to our works in progress. Okay, so I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay, so my first whip
I love
is
them.
A pair of socks. So this sock is just basically, you can see it's just a plain vanilla sock. It's kind of one that I started for Tuesday Knit Chat so that I have something to do that's just round and round knitting. It's done in Rose Hill yarns. This is a kit that Kelly gifted me. So this is called Sunday Afternoon. Sunday afternoon. When we used to do our knit chat, it was Sunday afternoon. So Kelly had seen this, and it actually came in 2 different combinations, right, Kelly?
Yes.
Because mine has the pink, and yours has it like a green.
A sage green.
Sage green. The yarn is amazing. I love the color. So this is just a plain toe up sock. So I did do it toe up. I did a rounded toe. And then I knit this on the 9-inch circular, my Chai-Gu 9-inch circular. I did a short row heel. And then up to the cuff, a twisted rib. And then I did a tubular bind up. Fits perfectly. I just got to get the other one started and on the go, but I seem to have cast on a lot of things. So anyway, love it. Love the yarn. And this is actually some of the yarn that I've got coming, because we're going to have a couple of prizes in like these kits, because her colors are gorgeous. They are.
They're beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
So love it. Thanks, Kelly. I can't wait for you to start yours.
I know. Well, I'm got some room now because I got the Shirley Bryan ones off the needles, and I got the little short ones off the needles. So there might be room for another pair of socks.
Yep. Yeah. So, I haven't done just plain vanilla with nothing in it for a long time, but this yarn does all the talking. It's just pretty.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
So I also cast on some socks this week, and I'm calling these my Pride socks for the month of June, because they're kind of rainbowy colors. And you can see the rainbow behind us too. Noelle and I, this past weekend, we were lucky enough to be part of the Fiber Hustle bingo games, and Chip and Aaron were hosting that, and it was the June Pride bingo, and we had a lot of fun. I think they had about 40 people in their bingo, and they did two sessions.
Like, that is a phenomenal amount of work to put that together.
It is.
Yeah.
And I won.
Yes,
I won. So you have an option to choose a sewing or a knitting prize, and I chose a sewing prize, and I have some sewing goodies on their way, so I'll share those. So anyway, so I cast this on so that I would have something to work on during bingo. And this is the Knit Picks Felici in the colorway Sally, and the purple toe is Duchess Heather. So I'll just show you that. I just put 2 cables in there, and the cables are going in the opposite directions because, I have to have symmetry.
To be some ends, right?
And what I'm doing here is now I'm up into the gusset. I don't know if you can see the gusset or not, a little bit there.
Yep.
And I'm going to put in a Flegel heel, and the Flegel part of the heel is that, I don't even know why it's called that, but so there's like a heel flap that goes up into the heel, and I'm going to use the Duchess Heather as well. Okay. But I just thought these were really, I only had one skein, and so it's 50 gram skein, and that will be all I need. But again, like the stroll yarn is so soft, and I like their self-striping Felici colors because I just thought this was really rainbowy. And that's part of, I put up the flag behind us there because we were to dress up for bingo and decorate our spaces. And I even have, turn them on. I have rainbow lights. I'll leave them on for a while until they drive me nuts. But so that's what I started last week, and it's going to be a short sock, obviously. So once I get the Flegel heel finished, I'll do maybe 6 or 7 rows of rib and call it a day. But it's a pretty colorway.
Yeah, it's very nice. So.
Okay.
And I just want to say about the bingo, like, I think that the numbers on my card were from a different numbering system.
Well, I was
knit most of that sweater because I had no numbers to mark off.
I won the very first game, and I was the first bingo of the first game. And then after that, I think it must have been rigged. It was like you win and you're done. There was one other time that I got close, but there were a couple of times my following cards had only like 1 or 2 numbers on it.
So that was my whole time. That was my whole time. Oh. But like I said, that was when I was knitting Molly's little sweater, and I think I knit almost one whole side.
Yeah. It was so much fun. So what a fun couple of guys for sure. Yeah. And they have a great podcast. So if you haven't watched Fiber Hustle yet, you should definitely check them out. They're they're also, so they're a multi-crafting podcast too, because Aaron is a knitter and Chip is a sewer. So Chip makes some amazing quilts and he does bags and things like that. And then Aaron is doing the knitting side of it. And so it's lots of interest there, like multi-crafting. And so that speaks to me because I like to multi-craft. So anyway, okay. What else have you got?
Okay, my next whip is my Noelle cardigan.
So pretty.
Okay, so right now I have like this thing that I cannot get into. Here's my neck. Okay, so and this has obviously got to be blocked out, but you can see I've got a steek down the front, and then we've got steeks here
for the arms.
Arm. Okay, so I have done a ton of modifications on this. So first of all, I did the band at the bottom longer because people were saying that it flipped up. So I did it longer. It's still flipping up a bit, but I think there's enough of it that once I block it out, it'll be fine. The pattern itself goes straight up and there's no shaping around the neck. So then you've got like a really long piece that's going to be hanging off your shoulders. Well, I didn't want that. And plus it's got like a band that goes around that's about that wide. So that's going to be coming up here. So I thought, well, I'm going to do shaping to go up. So you can see I've decreased going up. So that's why where I kind of got this here is once I cut this steek open, then my two sides will come away.
Right.
Like this or like this. And then I'm going to pick up the stitches for the sleeves to go down. So my sleeves, because they're going to be coming a little higher up, will probably have more of this pattern before I go into this pattern. So I'll just adjust it according to the length of that design at the bottom. And then the band that goes all around this is in color work. So what I'm going to try, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to pick up all the stitches all the way around in a tube because you don't, in the pattern, it's not in a tube. You just knit it flat, but I'm going to pick it up in a tube. And then I'll just have some steek stitches at the bottom so that I can cut it open. But I'm going to do it so that I can actually do it as a facing. So I'll knit out and then I'll do like a purl row. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side so that I can flip it under and sew it all down underneath. And then I'll have like a tube at the bottom where those steek stitches I can kind of tuck under and just sew up. So that's the
gorgeous.
Idea.
It's gorgeous.
The idea. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. We'll see.
The color work that you did in there and the colors that you chose are beautiful.
Thanks.
So this is not a kit. I know that the last Marie Wallen sweater you did, it was a kit that you purchased that had, the colors have been curated. This one you did all by yourself. And how many colors total have you got in there?
10 maybe.
10. It just looks amazing.
So anyway, thanks. So the yarn is all Holstgarn Super Soft. The main color, the dark gray, is called charcoal. No.
Graphite?
No, I think it's Oxford.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. But I've got a pattern page for it.
Okay.
And I know that this color is a pale pink and it's called Sweet Pea. I know that.
Sweet Pea, yes.
And then there's just some burgundies, like a cinnamon color, some sage green down in the bottom here. And I picked out a bunch of colors. And it's funny because I can put a bunch of colors together and look at them and go, no, I don't like that one with it, or I don't like that one with it. But just to sit and say, I'm going to pick this and this and this, I don't know, but I can kind of look at it and know if I think something doesn't look right to my eye. That doesn't mean that it's right. That just for my own, what I like, I can say, okay, that one's kind of not right or whatever. And then there was one time where I did do something here and I ripped it back because I couldn't see the difference enough in the two colors of the yarn. And that's again where we talked last time. If you take a black and white picture, you can really get a good idea of whether you've got enough contrast going in the two yarns.
And we had somebody ask a question about that too, when we talk about the black and white picture. So basically, if you're just going to take a picture like with your phone, take the picture in color, but almost every phone will have that little editing option on it that you can switch something to monochrome or a black and white. And that's where, because we had a couple of people say, well, how do you take the black and white picture? Take it in color and then convert it to monochrome or black and white. And then if you can't see contrast in that picture, then you know that there won't be enough contrast with the color in there. So it's just a really quick and simple way to test if you've chosen 2 yarns that are going to be different enough to look good in color work.
Well, and it also depends what you're going for, because sometimes subtle color work is nice where there's not a huge degree of contrast. So it just depends on what you're going for. Like in some of the, like obviously for this, I want that to stand out. I don't want to do all that work and have it just blend into the the background, right? So, and I mean, those two were pretty obvious. You didn't really need to take a picture to know that they were going to have enough contrast. But some, you can actually look at them and think, oh yeah, there's lots of contrast there. And I think we showed that in the last episode. And yet when you look at it in black and white, and it might have to do with the saturation levels in the colors, that there's just not enough contrast if you want something to really like stand out when you're doing it. And I think I might have been doing this here. Which one? This one. And I could not see it. The colors that I originally chose, I couldn't see it. So I just took it back and put in another color. So
good.
Yeah. So again, there's now another sweater with no sleeves.
Well,
it's to add to the pile.
But you will enjoy those sleeves because they're color work, and you love doing color work.
Yep. So yeah. Oh, there's my needle in there. I wondered what happened to the needle. Oh, because it's still on my stitches. Oh, good thing I didn't pull that out.
Oh. Get a stitch locker on there.
I'm like, I wonder what size. I'm thinking, what size needle did I do that on? And where is that needle? Well, it's still right in there because I left my neck stitches on there because instead of picking them up, I'll just knit them when I do the band.
Very nice.
Which obviously because I changed the length and everything, obviously I'm going to have to adjust the number of stitches I do for the band too. But all you have to look at is what your color work repeat is, and it's a multiple of 4. So I just need to make sure that I end up with a multiple of 4 stitches.
Right. So. Well, it's going to be gorgeous.
Thanks.
All right. So my next whip, I think I showed the yarn in the last podcast. It's the Chevron baby blanket, because in case you're new to us, again, I'm going to be a grandma for the first time in October, and I'm crazy excited. So I thought the baby needed a blanket, and I used this. So I've got the first stripe in, all right. And so when I bought this yarn, it's the Comfy Color Mist by Knit Picks. And so the gray is Foggy Beach. The purple is Chive Blossom. And then the next color, the next chevron that's going in is Inchworm. And it looks brighter maybe than it really is. So it had to be gender neutral because we don't know what the babe is yet. But this is a cotton. I think it's a Pima cotton, and it has a tiny bit of acrylic in it. And I cannot tell you how soft this is. Like, I would love a blanket in this. It's just super soft. So it's just going to be, like stroller size, I guess, or just anyway. And I wanted washable. So the Pima cotton with a little bit of acrylic will be super washable.
So is it a worsted weight, Kelly?
It is a worsted weight.
Okay.
And it's a free pattern. Originally, I wanted to do a crochet pattern, but I had so many, and I knew that I wanted it to be a chevron. And I had so many suggestions pointing me in this direction. And then after I looked at it, I thought, you know what? I do really like it. So this has been my car knitting this week. Because it's a really memorizable pattern, and I can just fly along with it. So it's very soft and squishy. So that's my second whip. Do you have something else on the go?
Yep. Okay, so every month, I think I've talked about it from the beginning of the year, I'm doing the Lucky Dip Cal, which is by Kate of Hawthorne Cottage Craft. So I pull out a skein, my husband pulls out a skein every month, and that's what I do that month, a pair of socks in that yarn, so that by December I will have my 12 adult pairs of socks for Christmas gifts. So
such a good idea.
Yeah.
And it takes so much pressure off too.
Yeah. So this
I know that yarn.
Yes. This month was a Regia Arnon Carlos colorway. And this colorway is called, I believe it's Summer Night. So I did a top down sock, 2x2 rib. This is for one of the guys because it's a 72 stitch sock. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I put this cable in, but it's just really subtle because I didn't do any outlying stitches, like no purl stitches on the outside of it.
Right.
So it's just the cable. So I'm calling these my subtle socks on a plane.
There you go. Awesome.
So I down to the heel, and then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try something new for the heel. So this is a shadow wrap heel. And I really like it. And I really liked doing it. It was super easy. The tutorial that I followed was by Chili Dog Knits.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They do a lot of good tutorials.
Yes. Yes.
So, and it was in 2 parts. So the first part was showing you the first part of the heel, and the second part was showing you the second part of the heel. Super easy. Really, really like it. Yeah. So, and again, I'm just going to do this whole sock just in the Regia.
Right. Right.
But when I looked at it, if I was going to do a contrast heel, classic gray would have been
classic gray would have
the
worked.
color that I picked. So, but yeah, happy with it. So I'll have those done by the end of the month, and that'll be my 6th pair of socks done for Christmas. So
look at you go.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. And you know what? I didn't get this cast on until a couple of days ago, and I forgot how much I really do like knitting with the German sock yarns.
I know, like, right? For socks,
yes. Yep.
They're toothy yarns. They're really toothy yarns.
The Art and Carlos colorways.
Yes, they do. They have beautiful colorways.
Yep. So, yeah, so I'm happy with that.
Okay. Well, my next cast on is for the Shift Happens Cal. And there's where I am so far. Oh, I'm making another night shift. And I'm using colors, I think 7 and 16. And I think this one is 7 and this one is 16.
Yes, because I have 16. So I know that's 16.
Okay. So this is the Noro Akari. And they are 200-gram balls, and they are worsted weight. Yes?
Yes. Well, they're classified as worsted to Aran.
Okay.
Or maybe hers is, that's worsted and the pattern is classed as Aran. I think that's it.
Okay. And they are a wool, silk, cotton, and a few other things in there blended. Mohair. There's a little bit of mohair. That's right. Yeah, there is a little bit of, you can definitely see the halo. I love this yarn. I did my first night shift in this. Well, Noelle did it first. Then I copied, and then I went out and I bought enough to make 2 more of these. And so these are colors that a coworker used, and I loved her so much that I copied her colors. And so this is what I've got so far, but it's such a fun pattern. It's mosaic knitting.
I know. I just like, it's so addictive. It's just.
Now, the original pattern calls for 6 colors, but since these are variegated, we only use those. So we don't change colors. So there's no ends to weave. So I've got 2 ends when I started, and when I finish, I'm going to have 2 ends to weave, and that's it. So I'm just carrying those 2 colors all along.
Yep.
So,
and now some people are doing that in the knit along, and they were asking, so if you switch colors, well, when you switch colors, if you're doing it with 2 colors like that, all you're doing is switching the background and the foreground. So that you don't have to cut your yarn. Like even if you decide you want a different color. So unless you want to like totally cut out a whole color repeat, you don't have to cut the yarn. And you can switch your background and foreground anytime you want.
Yeah. So
just as long as you keep your kind of your yarn quantities even so that you don't run out of one before the other.
Right. So I generally switch at the 20 row mark, but sometimes I wanted something different. Like in here, for instance, I switched this one after only 10 rows because I wanted to change things up a little bit more, but it's such a nice pattern. Honestly, such a nice pattern.
Yep. So, and when you're using the 2, like I would just suggest, like, especially if you are like maybe using one for the backgrounds a little bit more, just weigh them periodically so that you know that you're going to have enough to finish out.
So that you can switch it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I have other whips, but my last whip that I've actually worked on, because I still have all those sweaters that are on the island. So this is my Shifty sweater. So I had to cast it on. I was supposed to be doing the other ones, but I saw all these gorgeous shift patterns. And I think it was Mary kept showing pictures of her Shifty sweater. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm casting it on.
Mary is an enabler. I'm telling you.
So I love it. I just absolutely.
And we love her.
Yep.
I love that yellow where it hits in that yoke.
Yeah.
It's perfect. it frames the top part of the yoke.
Yep. So I'm kind of moving down now where my background is starting to get lighter again.
Yeah.
So this is done in, the background yarn is Connie, which is it's like a fingering to sport weight 2-ply woolen spun, rusticy, but perfect yarn that I love. And
all the yarn words into one.
That's right. All the yarn words into one. And it's kind of gradient. So it goes, where's my ball? It goes like fades in and out of just like different grays. Yeah. So it kind of makes the background nice. And then the colors in here are just some merino that I spun up, just different pieces and put them together. And it's so much fun seeing every row come up. So, So I did a tubular cast on for the neck, 1x1 rib. I can't remember whether that's in the pattern or not. I changed a lot of the increases because some of the increase rounds in the pattern are not symmetrical, and I just couldn't do that.
That messes with your math mind.
Well, I'd have more increases on one side than the other because it was like for the size that I started out doing, it was like knit 2 make 1 for like 24, and then knit 3 make 1 for the whole rest of the, and which is almost the whole other side of the, like, I don't even know how that would work. Like, shouldn't they be even? Like, do you remember knitting way back? You never had patterns that said knit 2 make 1, knit 2 make 1, do this. It said increase 40 stitches evenly spaced across the round.
Evenly spaced, yeah. And it was
you had to figure it out.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's what I did. I figured it out, figured the evenly spaced around. And then I kind of just kept kind of trying it on to see where I was going to put my other increases so that it would fit the way I wanted. So in the end, this yarn is a little bit thicker than what she calls for. So I ended up not going to the number of stitches or the number of number of increases that she called to do.
Okay.
Plus, I also changed my underarms a little. I added a few more stitches underneath because I believed there wasn't this many. And I thought, well, it makes more sense to me to have that in there and then also that part of the sleeve so that you don't have all that bulk here because you've got extra stitches.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, to me, that's what makes sense. So yeah, so really super happy with it. I have separated already, just separated the sleeves out. So I'm going to do a few more rounds and then I'm going to try it on just to make it sure that it's exactly the fit that I want before I finish the body.
It's gorgeous. Really, really beautiful.
It's so much fun. That stitch pattern is just so much fun. And especially with doing the multicolored all over, like every row you're going, okay, what are these going to look like? What are these?
I know.
Look like? I know.
It's that I can't put it down project because I want to see what the next thing is going to be. And you know, the beauty of mosaic is that you're only ever working one yarn per row. So it isn't like a Farrow color work where you're holding 2 yarns at the same time and creating a stitch pattern. Mosaic, you do the row in one color and using slip stitches, and then you go back through with your other color, and that's what creates the color pops or blips, as we call them in mosaic. So for someone that is, you know, for going back to where we say sometimes we're intimidated by something, Farrow is something, a stranded color work is something that can be intimidating. Mosaic, boy, you should have no fears about doing mosaic because it can't be easier. If you can knit with one yarn, you can knit mosaic.
The back of this, before you start going in the round, there's like maybe about 2 or 3 rounds where you actually do stranded color work before you get into the mosaic, just for the short rows at the back of the neck.
Right.
So, but yeah, and it's just like, I love Farrow knitting, I do, but this is just totally different, and they're both like rewarding and satisfying, but in different ways. Like this, I just can't wait to see the next flip. And this is basically easily TV knitting or whatever, because the pattern's the same, right? It's not like you have to really think about it. Whereas if I'm doing like the Marie Wallen one, I really am looking at the chart. So yeah, love it. I can see doing lots more shifty things. And again, I wasn't supposed to start that, but shift happens.
It does. And then, you know, people put things up there and then you take off and you're like, oh, look, I need that.
And realistically, I've had this yarn for like 3 years, and then I wanted to start using my hand spun. So it was perfect. I didn't even have to go and buy anything for it.
It's really beautiful.
So thanks.
Really beautiful. Okay. That's it for me for whips.
That's it for me for whips.
Okay.
Oh, I do have a couple of spinning.
Okay.
Finishes.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
I love it.
So this is my first one. This is a Cheviot that I got from On a Quest for Fiber. So I think I've got 120 grams of this, and this color was called Warm Memories. And I love it. I love it. And I was looking, Spin Cycle has a color that's almost identical to this.
I love that.
So
I love that.
So that was one. And then this is the next one.
Ooh, that's pretty too.
So this is my, it's falling apart. This is from Stitch Noir. The fiber was from Stitch Noir, and it was part of the Be a Freaking Unicorn.
I love that straw yellow in there. It's so soft.
So this was their BAFU colorway. Be a Freaking Unicorn. Yeah, and I thought this is 150 grams. So I've actually got enough of this that what I think I'm going to do, and you can see like there's lots of colors in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've got enough that I'm going to do like the girls for the fall or for the winter, the 3 girls, which will all be like size 4 or 5 sweaters.
Right.
I'm going to do them each a sweater, and I'm going to do the shifty pattern in the yoke.
Oh.
And then pick out a different color of the solid and do each one a different color of the solid, but have the same color up here for the blips. Like I think that would look really nice with a dark gray.
Absolutely.
So, or even a navy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do that, because with 150 grams, like 50 grams will be for each of them will be lots for the yoke. This one is 100% non-superwash blue face luster, and it was just a pleasure to spin. And it is so soft. It just was really fun. So.
Beautiful.
Okay. I have another one, but it's downstairs. I forgot it.
Next time.
Next time. I'll show it next time. So.
Okay. We could talk about things we acquired over the month.
Okay. Okay. Did you buy anything this month?
Well, I might have, yes. Just a few things. And I set out saying I'm not on a yarn diet. Absolutely. I'll never do that. But I had been kind of proud of myself in the last little while. I hadn't bought a lot of things. And then I bought things. Well, first, okay, so my first acquisition I didn't pay for. This was a gift, again, from Noelle. And it's another Shirley Bryan yarn, Deconstructed Fade, and it's Aslan. And I have been eyeballing this color for a long time now. I came very close to getting it once before, but I was cart jacked in one of her sales. And it may or may not have been Jacqueline that cart jacked me. But anyway, I love this color. And so I have another very long pair of socks in my future, and I can't wait. Well, I can wait. I'm not going to start them right away. It's a lot of knitting. I'm not lying. But I know I'm going to love
that was Rachel's color too. Hers look amazing.
And she did 3x1 rib all the way, didn't she?
She did.
I would not be doing that. But anyway, I'm so thankful to have it. Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Okay. And then should I keep going a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. I'll keep going a little bit. So knit picks. I showed the little blanket that I'm working on, but I did buy some other things from Knit Picks as well. And this was the first one. So I bought a sweaters quantity in the City Tweed DK, and this is Harbor Seal. It's not a very attractive name. I won't lie.
I don't mind that name, but that's
Harbor
pretty.
Seal. I want to wear a sweater. It's a seal. But you know what this is earmarked for? Winter Beaches cardigan.
Okay.
It's going to be really, really pretty because it's such a soft and cable-y sweater. And I've wanted to use the City Tweed for quite some time. So I did buy a sweater quantity of this. Knit Picks is having a huge sale right now too. And I got that email and I refuse to go and look. I'm not going to look.
I can only knit so much and I have a ton of stuff already, but I don't have any tweed.
I know. I didn't. Well, that's not, I would be lying if I said I didn't have that. But anyway, okay. So then the next thing that I bought is not this dishcloth. I made this dishcloth, but I wanted to go back to this. So they make the dishy yarn that everybody's familiar with, but then they also started making dishy twist. And it's kind of a marled cotton weight. And so I made this dishcloth, I think it was last month, and it's just a mitered square dishcloth. And then I striped it. So then I got thinking, as much as I like this for a dishcloth, these would make nice little like baby washcloths. Mm-hmm. So I chose some colors, and I don't think I'd make them as big. I might make them a little smaller. I think I used 75 stitches to cast on for those dishcloths. So maybe I would cast on something like 65 or even 61 maybe. Mm-hmm. So then I bought some other colors so that I have this one, which is the twist gray and a regular gray, mm-hmm. which I really like. That's one color. And then just in case, this one is called Begonia, and it's really pretty colors. Mm-hmm. And then I also have this, and I think I have a couple of other colors, but I didn't show them all, but I have this one too. Oh, and this is coffee. And mm-hmm. so they aren't all necessarily going to be baby washcloths, but I definitely like the idea of the two colors and mm-hmm. the stripes. So that's what I got from Knit Picks. So I'm going to leave that percolate for a little bit. And what did you get? Because I've got more, but I don't want to have like blatant yarn piggery. So
I ordered from Holst, and I know you did too.
Yeah.
Okay. So we might as well show these together then.
Okay.
I ordered two cones.
Me too.
There's my first cone.
Okay.
So it's called Seagull. And this is the Tide. So this is a silk wool blend, and it feels like amazing. So I am going to use this. I'm going to hold it double, and that's what I'm doing with it. Is the Winter Beach Cardi. It's for
I really
Rachel.
like that color.
She already knows that. It's for Rachel because she had told me that she wanted to do it, and I thought, well, you know what? I might as well do it and like make it for her birthday or something. So this is enough to do the whole cardigan because there's 500 grams. The yardage is really good, and I'm going to hold it double to get the DK.
Right.
The DK weight. Yep.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's like I said, it feels amazing. It'll be a good color that goes with everything. Very reminiscent of classic gray.
Okay.
So, that was my first cone.
I could show a cone. Because I've got, all right. So this one, which you know what that is. Cinnamon. And we love this color.
Yep.
And so my intention is also to hold it double. And then I got, I don't have a project picked out yet for it, but I'm thinking any Jennifer Stein Gas pattern because I love my Garden Gate so much mm-hmm. and I really like her color work. So then I got 3 colors that kind of accessorize with it. And this one is, Vintage Heather.
Okay.
And then there's Moorland, which also looks good. Mm-hmm. And this one is called Lather. And this was sort of the color that I was thinking, these two right here. But then I thought if it is a sweater that has more than 2 colors, either of these really blend nicely.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right, you carry on to your next one.
Okay, here's my next cone. And this is called Glacier. And this
I like that one too.
I really like this one. And there's Marie Wallen has a pattern book. I think it's called North Sea. And there's a gorgeous sweater in there that's like this color on the bottom, but it's got all cables and texture in it. And then you've got a little bit of color work up in the yoke.
So pretty.
So yeah, so I'm thinking it might be. And I've got, like I said, I've got lots of colors that I could probably put with it. Don't know yet what I'm going to put with it. It's just some ideas, but yeah, really, really like it. So what was your second cone? Slow.
And to go with it, call them out, Noelle.
Sweet pea.
Sweet pea. And then I also got, I don't know if you know this one.
Crocus?
Crocus, yeah. But they're just so pretty. Like it kind of all goes together.
That is, yep.
Right?
Yes, I just bought one of those crocus. So crocus, I have a full skein of the slow and the sweet pea, because the slow is what I'm using for my feather cardigan.
Yes.
So, but yeah, there's the crocus. This one is so pretty. This one is called Rosebud. And then I'll just quickly show you these ones. That's just oatmeal, because it's a lot of these like kind of neutral colors are really nice when you're doing a color work that's got a lot of colors in it, because they just kind of blend with each other.
Yep.
Yep. This is called Pebble. No, sorry, Pussy Willow. Pussy Willow. And then this one is Coffee.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then this is bad, all these colors. This one is called Heath.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so pretty. They're so tweedy. Okay, there's Pebble. So that's Pebble. This is Robin's Egg.
Nice.
Sugar Snap.
Oh, that's pretty too.
Yeah. So here's another kind of like, it's not cinnamon. This one is Ember.
Nice.
This is Gold Crust. I think I have one more here. Straw.
Very good. I got a couple of more.
All of those are going to look good together.
Yeah. And I got a couple more blender colors too. So this one is graphite and truffle. Mm-hmm. And those are just neutrals. And then the other thing that I got 2 skeins of each of these. And this is the Coast. So it's lamb's wool and cotton. And this one is Putty and Fauna.
Those are pretty. The Coast is so soft.
Thinking, yeah, it is so soft. So I'm thinking something baby. So I have 100 grams of each of these colors.
The Coast is what I did my Tenya in. Mm-hmm. And it took 2.05 skeins.
So I know I could knit an entire layette with 4 skeins for the baby, but
because I think the Coast is like 350 yards.
Yes. 383 yards.
Okay, so 350 meters maybe.
350 meters, and that's in 50 grams. So
lots. And it's like when you knit it, and same with the Super Soft. When you knit it, like it kind of looks, it'll look a little kind of see-through, and the Coast especially, like when you wash it, it just blooms, and the fabric is just Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to all of that. Yeah.
Well, I got all the different colors because I thought there's quite a few more Marie Wallin ones that I want to do. And there's she has the Burra cowl, and it's just a long tubular cowl, but it's all color work all the way through. And I thought, blending a lot of those colors together would look really nice too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's nice to have a good stash, like of just, blending colors that you can use.
Yeah. And even the bottom of that Yell cardigan, like I had 50 gram skeins. I mean, I hardly used any when you've just got that many colors, and I'll be able to use those in other ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. Did you have anything else?
That's it.
That's it for me too. That's enough.
That is enough.
That's a little bit of yarn piggery there. I'm not going to lie, but it's just, I don't know. I think you were doing the same thing too, because we did order it from Holst. So you want to get to a kind of like a target area level, with the shipping. And so we both kind of got the same amount of an order.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it and I really wanted to do another Marie Wallin, and I love my Primrose and I love the yarn that it's in, but it is pretty pricey, and I can't justify yet another one of those, like maybe eventually, but all these will make nice sweaters too, and they'll be
absolutely.
Yep. So.
Okay, well, the only other thing that I have to show is I have a little bit of sewing that I finished up because I got some things ready for a shop update. I didn't have anything this past month. I was just doing a lot of other things. So this month I thought, I I did a reorganization in the sewing studio. So I made some space and some upgrades, and it's actually been really fun to get back to the sewing again. Mm-hmm. So I've got a couple of different fabrics that I used. And the first one is this one.
Ooh, so pretty.
Yeah. And I made just a nice pink coordinating liner. Look away.
Don't do that.
I know, but it's just so pretty. It's very vibrant. And then, so that's one set of colors. And then the other set of colors, this one is more muted, but I really like it. It's kind of
pretty.
Very zen, like mandalas. And it has a pink lining again. And then I also did like some scrappy bags in the same fabric, linen base bottoms. So these little scrappy sacks are tall and skinny, which are perfect for socks for the summer. And
they are, because if you're outside, I have my sock yarn in it. You can kind of fold it down, and
they fold down. Then they're yarn bowls. Yeah, absolutely. They're easy to use, easy to carry, and just make a nice little bowl. So I have those.
I don't see a Carrie in your contacts. Ooh. Who would you like to call?
I don't know at what point she thought I said Siri, but anyway, I don't know. Anyway, these are the bags. And so I should have these in, let me see. Today we are podcasting on a Tuesday. We should have said the date at some point too. It's June the 22nd.
Okay.
June the 22nd. So I'll probably have this podcast up on Thursday when everybody gets to see it. And then I'll put all of the bags in the shop for the weekend so that everybody has a chance to get ready to check them out on the weekend.
Sounds good.
So that's it.
Okay. So we just want to thank everybody for joining us. Thanks so much for watching the podcast and for all the participation and all the cows. We love seeing everybody's projects. Mm-hmm. Thanks to everybody that joins us on Tuesdays for Knit Chat. It's so nice to get to know you, and it's obviously a little bit more interactive than just doing the podcast. And it's so nice for us to feel like we're getting to know everybody that's joining us.
Mm-hmm. And we love seeing what everybody else is working on.
Yeah.
Even though it forces us to put new things on our needles.
I know.
But that's okay. That's okay. It's all good. It's all good.
That's okay. And it's like when we talk about different things and how you do something, and then that's how you get, okay, well, I should try that Portuguese knitting, or I should try doing a Finchley graft, right? Sometimes you have to be exposed to it to know that it's there to do it. Mm-hmm. So. And
places that you can find us. So on Ravelry, we have a Knits and Pieces forum on there, and that's where all of our cows are. That's where you can reach out to us. There's chat groups going on in there. You're a busy group of people, and you're keeping us busy to keep up with you. That's for sure. And driving us too. And then on Instagram, I'm the Tangled Stitch. I'm also the Tangled Stitch on Ravelry. And Noelle, you are?
I am N's Knits and Pieces on Ravelry, and I am Noelle's Knits and Pieces on Instagram.
And Noelle does a fantastic job of show notes, and she will put those below the video. There's a little down arrow. So if you click on that, we'll bring you right to our website.
Yeah, we have a website.
Yes, website.
Yes, there's a website, and then you can go into the show notes. Any of our projects that have pages on Ravelry, you can direct link to that page on Ravelry. And we just also like to say, if there's someone that can't access Ravelry, or you've got problems with it and you want to know something, just reach out to us directly and we'd be glad to help you with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I also try to link any makers that we've talked about, like any, like if we've used an indie dyer or talked about an indie dyer, or if there's different tutorials that we've used in different projects, we can put the links for those in there too. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay.
So thanks for joining us, and happy knitting.
Happy knitting. We'll see you all next month.
Yeah.
Now we have an hour or so before we have to do our knit chat tonight. Yep. So we're looking forward to catching up with everybody live. But anyway, take care. Have a safe summer.
Okay. Goes through the body of the sweater. Just a minute. Hi, Molly. Sorry, we're podcasting. Can I call you guys back?
What's that?
We're podcasting.
Oh. Yes.
Okay.
Tell Kelly I say hi.
Oh, Rachel says hi.